Qualcomm had what I consider something that I think everybody expected, right? The um, the market is down for smartphones between 15 and 20%, and Qualcomm is down by even a little bit less than that. So they missed on the revenue side, but they beat on the EPS side. But it's really the guide that matters in the future. That was down around 7% on the revenue side and 7% on EPS. No question here that this is 100% the macro market. And if you also look at, I would say, their biggest strategic element, which is their diversification, automotive and IoT, automotive and IoT are still looking really, really good. IoT took a little bit of a hit, and what I'm hearing is that is primarily an inventory adjustment out there on the consumer side, where people are buying less items with Bluetooth as an example, low energy Bluetooth. But automotive is frickin' rocking, right? When you look at that number, I think it was up almost 50%. So kind of chewing into that. What is the number now, Daniel? $11 billion.
Their pipeline?
Yeah.
30.
Oh, sorry, 30.
Yeah, NVIDIA is 11, but remember it was an $11 billion growth, I think, in one quarter. But yeah, that was a number that was thrown around, Pat, 11.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm not concerned at all about the quarter. I mean, it's basically tracking to what the market is doing, and we got to be honest. I mean, Android is losing a little bit of share in premium to Apple, so that number is actually a little bit more than that. But inventory and handsets had a lot to do with the quarter, and they're modulating OpEx as you would expect.
Yeah, I think it was a fairly straightforward and expected set of results. We both had the opportunity to talk to CEO Cristiano Amon, and appreciated him and both at Akasha, their CFO's time yesterday to kind of run us through some things. The read between the lines is, this inventory drawdown's taking longer than everyone expected. I think it was going to be a quarter, and it's 2, and now it's looking like it's actually going to be about a 3-quarter drawdown. And these are some of those macro effects of the economy that you and I are talking about. You're seeing it now. This just means what it means is weaker demand. I mean, I had some interesting questions from the press about, why like certain semiconductor companies like Silicon Labs had really good performance in retail this quarter. Right. And then why are the client numbers so bad from everyone? I mean, because even AMD, which had a good quarter, we'll talk about that, their client numbers were really rough around devices. And I mean, it all had to do with how the channels and how their inventory got, loaded up during the pandemic. When things were scarce, everybody bought everything they could get. So when supply became available, they loaded up on supply. And then when the demand cutoff happened somewhat precipitously, they got stuck with a lot of inventory. And so now they're all burning through inventory. So you may even see some better numbers from some device makers and OEMs on all sides, because they're able to draw down inventory. So you got to kind of watch the inventory numbers against the sales numbers to see if, in fact, how sales are going versus how backlog is being managed and being fulfilled. But for Qualcomm, I mean, their story on handsets has been that they're aware that it's a very important part of their business, but diversifying is more important. Almost 60% growth in automotive, although a small part of their business, is very indicative that $30 billion pipeline is ramping. And so when we were at that automotive investor day, Pat, you and I were in New York, you could sense the energy moving in that direction. And by the way, the automotive industry hasn't been hit the same way devices and PCs, because they've never gotten to a point where their supply is caught up. I mean, you can still see car dealerships that have lacking inventory. So, the IoT business slowed down a little bit. And of course, the way they're embedding the RFFE into all the numbers now, as opposed to tracking that separately, is an area to watch. Pat, one other area I think you and I will really be keeping an eye on over the next year is going to be the the PC business, which they have embedded in the IoT business, which I asked them about. And I think that's going to be a number that sooner than later, we're going to want to see more call out and more specifics on. But they've got some very interesting technology through the Nuvia acquisition, a company you advised closely, a company that we're all eager to see what comes from. But I think there's a big bet going on there too as a part of their diversification strategy. It's going to be a tough market to enter, but Qualcomm's strength in mobile could very well be an enabler for them to have some strength in that business in time. But you hit a lot of it on the head, so let's keep rocking and rolling, buddy.
Yeah, let's move forward here. And just a note on inventory, it's always important to, when it comes to chip makers, to contemplate there's two elements of inventory. There's the chip inventory, and then there's the device inventory. And when you have the device makers, the PC makers, the phone makers, whatever makers, IoT makers, they because there was so much oversupply, they have to not only burn through that, but they have to burn through the chip supply that they were sitting on, because some of them were double ordering as well to get through some of the soft periods.